Morning, Rashid. Coffee's on me today, I said, sliding into the chair opposite him. You're too generous, man, Rashid laughed, taking the cup. You trying to impress someone? Maybe, I said with a grin. Sanaa's coming by later. You know I have to be at my best. Rashid rolled his eyes. You've been at your best since the day she smiled at you. Calm down. I chuckled. Still, I like making her mornings better. Amna popped her head into our corner. You two sound like a romantic sitcom. Should I get popcorn? Only if you bring extra for me, I replied. The office hummed with the usual chatter, phones ringing, keyboards clacking. I loved this rhythm, the sense of purpose. Farhan, my boss, passed by, nodding at me. Morning, keep up the good work, he said. His tone was steady, but I always felt there was more beneath the surface. Thanks, sir, I said, straightening my posture. Later, Sanaa's text buzzed, I'll be there in 10. Can't wait to see you, smiley face. I felt my chest tighten, a familiar flutter of excitement. I replied instantly, counting down the seconds. By the time she arrived, I was already walking toward the lobby. Her smile hit me like sunlight. Hey, she said, wrapping her arms around me. Hey, I breathed, hugging her back. Missed you this morning. You're always so sweet, she teased. Coffee ready? Of course. How else would I start my day? We walked back together, exchanging playful banter. Rashid waved from his desk. Acting like newlyweds again? Don't encourage him, Amna said, laughing. The day moved on with its usual pace. I handled emails, client calls, and project updates. Every few minutes, I stole glances at Sanaa. She had a calm confidence I admired, and I couldn't imagine a life without her by my side. During a break, I found Farhan at the window. Thinking about the quarterly presentation, I said. Good, he replied. You're thorough. Keep pushing, and you'll get noticed. I nodded, feeling pride swell. I always wanted to impress him, even if he never fully let anyone in. Thanks, sir. I won't let you down. You never do, he said, with that slight smile that made me respect him even more. By lunchtime, Sanaa joined me at the cafeteria. I grabbed your favorite sandwich, she said, sliding it across the table. You remembered? I asked, touched. Of course. You always remember my deadlines, it's only fair I remember your cravings. We laughed, sharing bites and teasing each other. The world outside seemed distant, this moment felt like ours alone. Back at the office, Rashid nudged me. She's good for you, man. Don't screw this up. I won't, I said firmly, smiling. I feel lucky. Amna chimed in as we returned to work. Lucky is an understatement. You're glowing. Don't let this office stress ruin it. Never will, I said, glancing at Sanaa across the room. She was laughing at something on her phone, completely unaware how deeply she had me wrapped around her finger. By the end of the day, I felt a sense of security I rarely experienced. The office, my friends, Sanaa, even Farhan's occasional cryptic advice, it all fit together, and I thought life couldn't be better. Little did I know, this calm, this perfect balance, was fragile. But at this moment, I didn't care. I just wanted to enjoy it. Ready to grab dinner later? I asked Sanaa as we packed up. Absolutely, she said, smiling. It's a date. I nodded, content, completely unaware that everything I cherished was about to be tested. Sanaa? I asked, scrolling through my phone. No reply. Again. Rashid leaned over my shoulder. Still waiting? Yeah, I admitted. She usually texts back instantly. This is weird. Maybe she's busy, he shrugged. Not everything is a crisis. I know, but it feels different. She hasn't smiled in our calls lately either, I muttered, tapping my finger against the desk. Amna walked by, carrying a stack of files. Talking to yourself about love again, she teased. Not talking to myself. Worrying, I shot back, forcing a smile. Sanaa's acting distant. Amna raised an eyebrow. People change. Sometimes slowly. Watch for the signs, not the excuses. Signs? I frowned. What signs? You'll see, she said, walking away. Her words stuck in my head longer than I expected. Later, Farhan stopped by my desk. I've noticed your work ethic. Impressive. How would you like some mentorship? Mentorship? I asked, surprise creeping in. You'd guide me personally. He nodded. I think you have potential. I can help you reach it. Of course, sir. I'd be honored, I said, trying to hide my excitement. He paused, looking at me like he could read my thoughts. Just remember, not everything is as simple as it seems. Even the best opportunities carry risks. I nodded, intrigued but slightly unsettled. I understand. I'll be careful. The rest of the day passed with a strange tension. Sanaa finally replied, sorry, busy. Talk later. Talk later. I muttered aloud. Since when do you say that? Rashid leaned back in his chair. You're reading too much into it. Maybe she really is busy. Maybe, I said, but doubt was already creeping in. I replayed her tone in my head, the slight coldness I hadn't noticed before. During lunch, I asked her, are you okay? You seem distant. Sanaa looked up from her salad, forcing a smile. I'm fine. Just tired, I guess. Work is stressing me out. You never seem this tired, I said softly. Is it something else? She waved it off. No, really. Don't worry. I tried to believe her. I really did. But every laugh that didn't reach her eyes felt hollow. Every glance that lingered on her phone made my stomach twist. Amna appeared at my table, pretending to be casual. You're not imagining it, she said. People hide more than you think. But don't panic yet. Hide what? I asked, my voice lower than I intended. Life, she said cryptically, and walked away. I couldn't stop staring after her, her words echoing in my mind. By mid-afternoon, Farhan called me into his office. Sit, he said, motioning to the chair. Sir? I asked, unsure what he wanted. I've been reviewing your reports, he said. Excellent work, but I noticed one small error in your last analysis. I frowned. I'll fix it immediately. No need, he said, leaning back. I want to discuss your approach. You have initiative, but sometimes, you overlook subtle patterns. Let me show you a method. As he spoke, I couldn't help but notice how his gaze lingered on me, sharp and calculating. Of course, sir, I said, trying not to squirm under his intensity. After the meeting, I returned to my desk, unsettled. I dialed Rashid. I can't explain it, but something feels off, I confessed. Farhan? Rashid asked. No. Sanaa. Farhan too, maybe, I admitted. I feel like there's tension I can't name. I just can't shake it. Rashid was quiet for a moment. Listen, man. Trust your gut. Don't ignore it, but don't jump to conclusions either. Watch. Wait. Observe. Yeah, I said, chewing on my pen. I'll watch. I just hate feeling like I'm blind to something. Later, I glanced at Sanaa across the office. She laughed at a message I couldn't see. Her hand lingered on her phone longer than necessary. My chest tightened. See something interesting? Rashid asked from behind. I don't know, I admitted. Maybe I'm overthinking. But I feel a crack, like everything isn't as perfect as it seemed. You're noticing cracks, Amna said, appearing out of nowhere. Better to notice them now than be blindsided later. I nodded, but it felt heavier than her words. By the time I left the office, my mind was spinning. Sanaa's warmth felt distant. Farhan's attention felt layered, like it meant more than he let on. I tried to convince myself it was all paranoia, but the unease lingered, and I realized, my perfect beginning was starting to fracture. Sanaa, we need to talk, I said, my voice shaking more than I expected. She didn't look up from her phone. About what? About us. About everything, I said, trying to keep calm. I can't ignore the distance anymore. She finally met my eyes. Her face was unreadable for a moment, then softened. I think it's better if we're honest. Really honest. What do you mean? My stomach twisted. Her voice dropped. I've been seeing someone else. I froze. The words didn't sink in at first. Someone else? Yes, she said, avoiding my gaze. Farhan. I didn't mean for it to happen, it just did. Farhan. I felt my chest tighten, my hands trembling. My boss. You, with him. I'm sorry, she whispered. I never wanted to hurt you. Sorry. Sorry doesn't cut it. My voice rose before I could stop it. You lied to me. All this time, everything we had, you ruined it. Sanaa looked away, tears forming in her eyes. I know. I wasn't thinking clearly. I made a mistake. A mistake. I laughed bitterly. A mistake. You betrayed me. You humiliated me. She tried to reach for my hand. Please. I still care about you. Care about me? I scoffed. You care about him. You care about yourself. Rashid appeared behind me, concern etched on his face. Hey. I heard shouting. Are you okay? I'm fine, I muttered, though my chest felt like it was on fire. I just found out she's been seeing Farhan, Rashid finished softly. I'm so sorry, man. I sank into the nearest chair. I trusted her. I thought we were building a life together. You still have yourself, Rashid said firmly. Right now, that's what matters. Right now, I muttered, staring at the floor. I feel like I don't have anything left. Everything, everyone I trusted. Amna appeared, leaning against the doorway. People you think are solid can crack in ways you never expect, she said quietly. It's harsh, but it's reality. I shook my head. I can't believe this. Farhan knew. He knew. And he didn't stop it. I didn't know how to, Farhan said from behind, his voice calm, almost too calm. Sanaa made her choices. I didn't force her. Your calm doesn't help. I shouted. You let this happen. You're angry, he interrupted, his tone measured. I understand. But you can't control what other people do. Control. I spat. Control isn't the point. Loyalty, respect, that's the point. And you both threw it away. Sanaa's tears finally fell. I never meant to hurt you this much, she said, her voice cracking. Then why? I asked, my voice breaking. Why me? Why us? I don't know, she admitted. I got lost. Lost? I echoed, the word tasting bitter. You don't get lost with someone else. You betray. Rashid put a hand on my shoulder. I know it hurts, man. I can't fix it. But you have to breathe. Step back before you break completely. I can't breathe, I whispered. It's like everything I believed in, vanished. The office felt suffocating. Colleagues were glancing at us, whispers following in my wake. I could hear fragments, did you hear? With Farhan. Wow. I can't even face them, I muttered, burying my face in my hands. You will, Rashid said gently. Later. For now, let it out. Sanaa approached hesitantly. Can we talk later? I want to explain everything. Explain? I shook my head violently. There's nothing to explain. You chose him. You chose betrayal. There's nothing left for you to say. Her lips quivered. I understand. I just. Don't. I cut her off. Just leave. All of you. I need space. Silence fell. The hum of computers and distant chatter seemed deafening. My heart pounded in my ears. I felt hollow, humiliated, shattered. Rashid stayed with me, leaning against the desk. You're not alone, he said softly. I've got your back. We'll figure out what comes next. I don't know if I can forgive either of them, I admitted. I don't even know if I can trust anyone again. You'll heal, he said. Step by step. Don't let this break you completely. I nodded, though the weight in my chest didn't lift. I couldn't stop replaying her face, his calm demeanor, the whispers behind my back. Everything I had believed in had been torn away. By the time everyone left, the office was quiet. I sat alone, staring at the dim screens, the hum of machines the only company I had. My hands shook, and I felt tears welling again. I whispered to myself, barely audible, I can't stay like this. I won't be powerless. I can't. The words felt hollow but necessary. For the first time since I learned the truth, I sensed a flicker, a faint awareness that, despite everything, I had to reclaim my life. And in that quiet, lonely office, I made a silent promise to myself, I would rise. One way or another. I didn't answer my phone all morning. Not Rashid, not anyone. I just sat at my desk, staring at the blank screen. A soft knock broke my silence. Hey, you okay? Rashid's voice was tentative. I'm fine, I snapped, my fingers gripping the edge of the desk. Just leave it. He hesitated. You've barely talked to anyone since, what happened? You can't shut everyone out forever. I'm not shutting anyone out, I said, though the words felt hollow. I'm just, thinking. Rashid's sigh came through the open door. Thinking or drowning in it? I didn't reply. Emails piled up, messages went unanswered, calls ignored. I barely noticed. Every glance at Sanaa's empty desk, every whisper in the hall felt like knives. I relived her face, her smile for Farhan, the way she didn't look at me anymore. You're still staring at nothing, Rashid said when he peeked in again. It's not nothing, I muttered. It's everything. My life. My choices. My trust. Gone. He tried again. You don't have to carry it alone. I am alone, I said sharply. And I like it that way. No one can hurt me if I shut them out. Amna appeared briefly, offering a quiet, hope you're taking care of yourself. Then she left. I didn't respond. Couldn't. I was too busy replaying every laugh, every argument, every late night with Sanaa. What did I miss? A coworker asked, glancing at me as I typed an absent email. Nothing, I muttered. You missed nothing. By lunch, I was alone in the cafeteria, picking at a sandwich. Rashid slid into the seat across from me. You're punishing yourself for something that wasn't your fault. It's all my fault, I said flatly. I wasn't enough. I trusted too much. I let her slip away. You were betrayed. Not responsible, he said. Don't argue, I snapped. I know the truth. I failed, and now I'm paying for it. I replayed our conversations endlessly. Remember that night she laughed about my stupid joke? I muttered aloud. I thought it meant something, now I see it was nothing. All of it. Every word, every promise, it meant nothing. Rashid leaned back, silent. He knew talking wouldn't reach me now. Later, I stormed past Farhan's office. He looked up, calm as always. You should talk to someone, he said. Don't, I hissed. Just don't. He raised his hands, harmless. I didn't mean to. Stay out of my life. I shouted, storming away. Everywhere I looked, I saw reminders. Sanaa's pen on the desk, the coffee cup she always left half full, the way she hummed in the hallway. Each small memory cut deeper than the last. By the afternoon, I had stopped pretending. No emails, no calls, no smiles. Just cold stares and quiet bitterness. Rashid tried again. Come on, man. Lunch with me. Talk. I don't want to talk, I said, voice low. I don't want anyone. I just want to be left alone. You're punishing yourself, he said softly. Good, I said. Maybe I deserve it. Maybe this will teach me to never care again. I thought about revenge, about reclaiming my life in a way that hurt them both. But mostly, I thought about how powerless I felt. The anger, the jealousy, the shame, it all rolled together into one heavy weight that crushed me. I went home early. My apartment was empty. Quiet. Perfect for self-loathing. I paced, muttering fragments of conversations. You chose him. Why did I trust you? You ruined everything. I sat on the couch, staring at the ceiling. I can't stay like this, I whispered. I won't stay like this. The thought of rebuilding flickered faintly, like a candle struggling against wind. Not for them. Not for forgiveness. For me. For control. I stood, walking to the window. City lights blurred beneath the rain. I will fix this, I said to no one. I will take back what's mine. I will rise. Rashid's voice echoed in my mind. Step by step. Observe. Be patient. Yes, I muttered. Step by step. I'll watch, I'll learn, and I won't be weak again. For the first time since the betrayal, I felt something solid beneath the fear and pain, resolve. The darkness was still there, but I could see the edge. I could see a way out. I whispered again, a vow just for me, I will rebuild. I will take control. And I will never let anyone humiliate me like this again. The night closed in, silent except for my own heartbeat. Alone, yes, but not broken. Not completely. I didn't look back. Not at the empty apartment, not at Sanaa's laugh echoing in my mind, not at Farhan's smug face. I focused on work. The office became my refuge, my battlefield, and my training ground. Morning, Rashid, I said, stepping into the break room. Finally, he said, a teasing smirk on his face. Did you sleep at all? Enough, I muttered. I've got deadlines to catch up on. And I'm not wasting time on distractions anymore. You sound different, he said, raising an eyebrow. Different is good, I replied, pouring coffee. I need to be sharp. Amna approached, her clipboard in hand. I like the focus. Finally, someone's actually planning instead of panicking. Thanks, I said, smiling briefly. I've got a lot to fix. Not outside, inside. Later, Farhan called me into his office. My stomach tensed at the thought of him, but I squared my shoulders. Yes, sir. I asked politely. I need you to review these client portfolios, he said. And prepare a strategy proposal by Friday. Of course, I said, studying the papers. I noticed the inconsistencies immediately, missed numbers, overlapping accounts, lack of follow-ups. Sir, I've already identified a few gaps. I can optimize these for better efficiency. He blinked at me, surprised. Interesting. Go ahead then. Show me what you've got. I left the office, a small smirk forming. The cracks were already visible. And I was learning where to press. At my desk, Sarah approached, a colleague I had only spoken to casually before. I've noticed you've been pushing hard, she said. You okay? I will be, I replied. It's time to take control. She nodded, smiling. Good. You've got talent, but you need allies. Don't burn bridges completely. I know, I said. I'm careful. Good, she said, leaning against my desk. Also, if you ever need to vent, I'm here. Not everyone will understand, but I will. Her sincerity caught me off guard. Thanks. I might take you up on that. Don't hesitate, she said. Life's too short to drown alone. Her presence was grounding. For the first time in weeks, I felt a tether to someone who wasn't tangled in betrayal. Back at work, I focused on skills, devouring industry reports, online courses, and networking tips. Rashid, I said one afternoon, I'm planning to pitch directly to clients, get feedback, and see how the market reacts. I need real-world insight. He laughed. You're a machine. Just don't overdo it. Even machines need fuel. I've got fuel, I said sharply. Anger, determination, strategy. Sarah joined us. Don't forget perspective, she added. Sometimes being too focused makes you blind to opportunities. I'm learning, I said, feeling a spark of camaraderie. I'm watching. Calculating. And waiting. One late afternoon, I observed Farhan during a meeting. His arrogance was showing, mismanaging client questions, dismissing junior suggestions. I made mental notes, cataloging mistakes, vulnerabilities, and weak spots. Are you taking notes? Sarah whispered beside me. Yes, I said quietly. I'm learning. Every move he makes, every decision he mishandles, it's fuel for the future. She nodded, her eyes bright. Just don't let it consume you completely. Stay grounded. I won't, I said. I'm focused. Not lost. Not like before. Rashid caught up with me later. You're different. I can see it. You're building something bigger than just surviving. I have to, I said. I can't stay broken. I can't let betrayal define me. I need control. Strategy. Power. Sarah joined us. And you're not alone. I'll support you where I can. I felt a rare warmth, a tether to someone genuine, someone who could be trusted. I appreciate that. More than you know. Days blurred into nights. I honed presentations, strengthened client relationships, and tested new ideas. Each success, no matter how small, reminded me I still had worth. I began to feel capable again, not just as an employee, but as someone who could rise, reclaim, and dominate if necessary. One evening, as the office emptied, I lingered, staring at the skyline beyond the windows. Step by step, I whispered, recalling Rashid's words. Observe, calculate, rebuild. Sarah appeared, holding 2 coffees. Late night? Always, I said. But productive. I've got plans. Plans? She asked, curious. Long term, I said, smiling faintly. To reclaim what was lost, and more. She nodded, understanding more than I expected. Good. Don't rush. The fire has to burn steady, not wild. I know, I said. Steady. Calculated. Precise. As she left, I returned to my desk, scanning reports, preparing proposals, reaching out to clients. Every action was deliberate, every connection measured. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was rebuilding. And deep inside, beneath the pain and scars, a quiet promise solidified: I would rise. I would take control. I would reclaim everything, one calculated step at a time. I walked into the office with a purpose. Every step felt deliberate, every glance measured. Farhan was already in the conference room, talking to a client. I stayed at the doorway, observing, taking notes in my head. "Good morning, Farhan," I said casually as he noticed me. He gave a curt nod. "Morning. Ready for the presentation?" "Absolutely," I replied. My voice steady, confident. "I've prepared an updated strategy for the Thompson account. It addresses the gaps you highlighted last week." The client, Mr. Malik, looked up. "Updated strategy?" "Yes," I said, stepping forward. "I analyzed your KPIs and prepared projections that align with both market trends and internal efficiency. Here's what I suggest." As I spoke, Farhan's jaw tightened slightly. He had no idea how thoroughly I had studied the company's weaknesses. Every suggestion, every projection subtly highlighted his oversights without directly challenging him. Rashid leaned in later. "You really shook things up in that meeting," he whispered. "I had to," I said. "Step by step. Show competence. Gain trust. Don't give him a chance to see the bigger plan yet." Amna passed by. "You're making waves," she said quietly. "Be careful, though. Don't push too hard too fast." "I know," I muttered. "Measured strikes. That's all this is." Back at my desk, my phone buzzed. Sana. Her name flashed, but I didn't answer. Not now. Not ever. I had no room for old wounds or weak attachments. "Not answering her?" Rashid asked. "No," I said firmly. She lost that right. By midweek, I had taken the lead on 3 important projects. Colleagues began to notice. "Are you seeing what he's doing?" Amna asked me quietly. "I am," I said. "Step by step, every move counts. I can't make a misstep now." Farhan's eyes lingered on me more than usual. Subtle aggression, a tightening jaw, the occasional sharp tone in meetings. But I smiled, patient, and answered his questions clearly, confidently. "Impressive work," he said one afternoon, his voice strained. "I didn't expect such initiative." "Thank you, sir," I replied evenly. "I'm committed to the company's success." He gave a short nod, and I noticed the tension. He didn't know whether to trust me or feel threatened, and I let him sit in that uncertainty. Later, I joined Sarah in the break room. "You're really taking control now," she said, pouring coffee. "I'm learning," I said. "I've studied the weaknesses, the missed opportunities. I'm acting, but carefully. I can't afford mistakes." "You've changed," she observed. "It's not just skill. It's confidence. Focus. You're unstoppable." "Focused, yes," I said, smiling faintly. "Anger drives me, but it's controlled now. Productive. It fuels strategy, not chaos." Rashid leaned against the doorway. "You're channeling it well. Don't let it turn into obsession." "I won't," I said firmly. "I have a goal. Patience and precision. That's what matters." A few days later, another client, Mr. Shah, praised my proposals in front of Farhan. "I didn't expect this level of insight," he said. "I'm impressed with the analysis. It's exactly what we need." Farhan's hand tightened around his pen. "Good work," he said tersely. I smiled politely. Thank you, sir. I'm glad the strategy meets expectations. Rashid nudged me later. You're making him sweat. I am, I said quietly. Every small victory counts. Reputation, trust, confidence, these are all weapons. He doesn't see the full arsenal yet. By the end of the week, my reputation had grown. Stakeholders respected my judgment, colleagues deferred to my expertise, and Farhan's subtle hostility was becoming more obvious. He still underestimated me, unaware that each project, each suggestion, was a stepping stone toward reclaiming my dignity and power. My phone buzzed again. Sana. Another missed call. She's still trying, Rashid said. Let her try, I said firmly. I'm not the same man she left behind. Not now. Not ever. Sarah smiled across from me. Good. You deserve that strength. Don't let the past weaken you again. I won't, I said. I've learned. I've observed. And now. I act. As the office emptied, I stayed behind, reviewing reports, mapping client accounts, and tracing Farhan's vulnerabilities. Each detail, each overlooked step, was a potential advantage. Rashid passed by one last time. Keep your focus. You're doing well. Just remember, this is the calm before the storm. I know, I said, eyes on the screen. And when the storm comes, I'll be ready. The day ended with a sense of quiet triumph. I had taken my first real steps toward reclaiming control, proving myself to colleagues, and subtly undermining the man who had betrayed my trust. The anger still burned, but now it was precise, controlled, and productive, a tool instead of a chain. And deep inside, I felt the first surge of power returning. The path was long, but for the first time since the betrayal, I could see the shape of victory. I stepped into the boardroom, calm, confident, aware of every eye on me. Farhan sat at the head, frowning as I approached. Morning, everyone, I said, my voice steady. Let's review the quarterly projections and client strategies I've prepared. A few colleagues exchanged glances. Farhan cleared his throat. Right, go ahead. I began, outlining detailed projections, cost-saving measures, and potential new clients. Every suggestion was precise, calculated, highlighting improvements without directly undermining him. Interesting approach, Farhan said, his tone forced. But are you considering market volatility? Absolutely, I replied smoothly. I've modeled multiple scenarios and included risk mitigation strategies. Here's how each plan performs under different conditions. A board member, Mr. Malik, leaned forward. This is thorough. I like the depth. Farhan's jaw tightened. Thank you, he said tersely, avoiding eye contact. After the meeting, Rashid appeared at my side. You didn't just impress them, you owned the room. I had to, I said. Step by step. Patience, preparation, precision. He doesn't know what's coming yet. Sarah joined, smiling. You're not the same person they saw a few months ago. You're formidable. Formidable is good, I said. Anger fuels focus. Strategy channels it. The rest is just execution. Later, I walked past Farhan's office. He glanced up, eyes narrowed. Your clients seem loyal, he said quietly. They're responsive to strategy, I replied evenly. I present solutions. Results speak louder than ego. He didn't respond, but I caught the flicker of uncertainty in his gaze. The first real crack. Sana called that evening. I let it ring. Again. Another text, another missed opportunity to weaken me. She's still trying, Rashid said. Let her try, I said firmly. I'm not the man she left. Not now. Not ever. Days passed with small victories. Contracts signed, proposals accepted, colleagues beginning to seek my advice. Farhan's errors became more frequent, missed deadlines, mismanaged calls, impatient responses. I observed quietly, cataloging every mistake. Notice the pattern? I asked Sarah over coffee. Every time he overreacts, he exposes a flaw, she said. You're patient. That patience is your advantage. I'm learning, I said. Watching, noting, preparing. One misstep, one exposure, and the shift is irreversible. Rashid nodded. It's happening. You're gaining control. You can feel it, right? Yes, I said softly. And it feels satisfying. But not entirely clean. There's bitterness in seeing him stumble. I hate that part of me. Don't fight it, Sarah said. It's part of the process. Just don't lose yourself in it. The next board meeting was pivotal. Farhan stumbled during his presentation, missing key points and failing to answer questions convincingly. I stepped in naturally, guiding discussions, offering precise solutions, and fielding questions with confidence. A client whispered to me, I didn't expect someone so young to command this room. I smiled politely. Experience isn't only about years. It's about preparation, insight, and execution. After the meeting, Farhan pulled me aside. You're moving fast, he said, irritation in his tone. Don't get ahead of yourself. I'm not getting ahead, I said evenly. I'm doing what should have been done long ago. For the company. For efficiency. He scowled and walked away, and I couldn't hide my small grin. He didn't realize that each step I took was deliberate, strategic, and irreversible. Later that week, Sana appeared at the office. She looked nervous, uncertain. I wanted to see you, she said softly. Why? I asked, my tone calm, authoritative. To explain. To apologize. To ask for what you lost. She shook her head. I miss us. I leaned back, hands folded. Sana, what we had is gone. Permanently. I've moved on. You're no longer part of my life. Her eyes widened. I didn't mean. I don't want your excuses, I said firmly. I want results, progress, and respect. That's what matters. Not old mistakes or past love. She swallowed, speechless. I watched her retreat, realizing the finality of her absence from my life. Rashid and Sarah caught up with me later. You handled that well, Rashid said. I did, I admitted. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. I control my life now. Not her. Not him. Sarah nodded. And you've earned this. Every client, every colleague, they see your worth. Don't forget that. I won't, I said. But I won't let satisfaction blind me either. The final step requires patience, planning, and precision. The office buzzed around me, a mixture of admiration, respect, and quiet tension. I felt a shift in the air, Farhan's subtle panic, the trust I'd built with stakeholders, the momentum swinging unmistakably in my favor. Late that evening, as the lights dimmed and the hum of computers filled the empty space, I reflected silently. Pride mingled with lingering bitterness, a reminder that the journey had been painful, personal, and unforgiving. Step by step, I whispered to myself. Observe, act, and take what's mine. Patience, precision, power. Rashid leaned against the doorframe, watching me. You're ready. I can feel it. The rest is just execution. Yes, I said, voice steady. And when the time comes, karma will speak for itself. I sat back, letting the quiet swell around me. The power shift was real, tangible, and undeniable. I had grown stronger, wiser, and more formidable than before. The path forward was clear, and I was prepared to walk it without hesitation. I walked into the boardroom, calm, collected, every step deliberate. Farhan was already there, fidgeting slightly, a subtle tremor in his composure. The executives glanced between us, curiosity and tension in their eyes. "Good morning," I said, my tone steady. "I've reviewed the last quarter's reports and identified areas that need immediate attention." Farhan's lips tightened. I thought that was my responsibility." "Yes, sir," I said politely, but I also noticed gaps that could affect client retention and operational efficiency. "Here's my analysis." I laid out my points, emphasizing facts and outcomes. Each recommendation showcased competence, efficiency, and foresight. Farhan's attempts to interject were clumsy, defensive, and increasingly irrelevant. "Your projections assume ideal conditions," he said, voice strained. "They assume accurate data and realistic adjustments," I replied smoothly. "I've cross-verified every figure and accounted for variable market behavior." A board member, Mr. Malik, leaned forward. "This is thorough. I appreciate the clarity. It aligns perfectly with our objectives." Farhan's glare was sharp, but he had no counter. Every misstep he had made over the past months was now laid bare, not through my attacks, but through results, through precision, through competence. Rashid whispered beside me, "He doesn't realize he's losing control." "I know," I said quietly. "And he's too stubborn to see it until it's irreversible." Later, Farhan cornered me in the hallway. "You're undermining me," he hissed. "I'm not undermining," I said evenly. "I'm fulfilling what the company needs. My responsibility, my commitment. If that exposes gaps you missed, so be it." His hands trembled slightly. "You think you're better than me?" "I think results speak louder than pride," I said, voice calm. "And the results are clear." Back at my desk, Sanaa's name flashed on my phone. Another call. Another text. "She's still trying," Rashid murmured. "I'm not the same man," I said firmly. "Not the one who let betrayal crush him. I have no space for the past. Only the present, only progress." That afternoon, another meeting revealed Farhan's weaknesses to everyone present. His suggestions were off-mark, his numbers inconsistent. I corrected, guided, and clarified, letting professionalism and competence carry the weight. One of the senior managers, Mr. Shah, said softly, "It's impressive how you handle this. Steady, precise, calm." "Farhan, he's faltering." I nodded politely. "I focus on solutions, not personalities." Farhan's face flushed red, his hands gripping the table. I am responsible," he stammered. "Yes, sir," I said evenly. "And responsibility includes acknowledging mistakes. The company deserves accountability." Later, I spoke privately with Sarah and Rashid. "It's happening," Rashid said. "The shift is complete. He's unraveling." "Yes," I said, a small smile forming. "Step by step, patience, precision. Not a word of vengeance, just results. That's all karma requires." Sarah nodded. "And you've grown. It's satisfying, but clean. You didn't stoop, didn't lash out." "That's the key," I said. "Professionalism. Power is most effective when it doesn't look like power. Let him expose himself through his own mistakes." By the end of the week, Farhan's authority had weakened. Colleagues subtly ignored his directives, clients began questioning his proposals, and I continued to shine. Each interaction reinforced my competence and his decline. Sanaa appeared at my office that day. Her eyes were wide, anxious. I heard what's happening," she said softly. I want to see you. Talk. Maybe, try again." I leaned back, hands folded. Calm. Authoritative. "Sanaa, I'm no longer the man who needed you. You're too late. Your choices are yours, mine are mine. I've built my life without your presence, without your interference. Her lips trembled. But I still. Stop, I said firmly. I have no place for what was lost. The past is closed. I'm focused on the present, on what I can control. That does not include you. She stepped back, defeated, realizing fully that I had become independent, strong, untouchable by her previous actions. Rashid leaned against the doorframe later, observing quietly. You've done it, he said softly. Power, control, respect. And you did it cleanly. Yes, I said, voice calm. But it's bittersweet. The satisfaction is real, yet I remember the pain that got me here. That memory keeps me grounded. Sarah smiled. Grounded, yes. But also victorious. You didn't just survive, you rebuilt, you grew, you reclaimed everything that was stolen from you. I nodded, eyes on the skyline through the office windows. It feels right. Not cruel, not vengeful. Just fair. Karma isn't flashy, it's precise. And I let it unfold without my interference. That's the triumph. Farhan's decline continued. Rumors spread, mistakes compounded, and he eventually faced formal reprimands. His arrogance, his betrayal, his shortcuts, all laid bare. I didn't celebrate, I didn't gloat. I watched with quiet satisfaction, letting results speak louder than words. Late that evening, I sat alone, reflecting. Pride mingled with lingering bitterness. Anger had become resolve, heartbreak had become focus. The betrayal had shaped me, but it no longer controlled me. I whispered softly, almost to myself, I reclaimed my life. I rebuilt. I am stronger. And I will never let anyone diminish me again. The office was silent around me, yet within, a quiet triumph resonated. The betrayer had fallen, karma had spoken, and I had risen, not through cruelty, not through revenge, but through skill, patience, and unwavering resolve. I stepped into my new office, sunlight streaming through the windows, the city skyline reflecting my own clarity. Rashid leaned against the doorway with a grin. Feels good, doesn't it? He asked. It does, I admitted. Feels right. Sarah appeared behind him, coffee in hand. You've earned this. Everyone sees it. Your vision, your leadership, it's inspiring. Thanks, I said, taking a deep breath. I've learned a lot, more than I ever thought I would. Amna stopped by, hesitating for a moment. Congratulations, she said softly. It's well deserved. You handled everything with dignity. Dignity is key, I said, smiling faintly. I didn't need to crush anyone to reclaim what was mine. I just needed focus, patience, and clarity. Rashid chuckled. You make it sound so simple. It wasn't simple. Not with everything that happened. No, I admitted. It wasn't. But it was necessary. Every failure, every betrayal, they were lessons I had to internalize. Later, a team member approached. Sir, we've followed your lead on the last projects. Client feedback is excellent, and morale is high. Thank you for your guidance. I nodded, feeling a genuine warmth. I didn't do it alone. We did this together. I expect honesty, diligence, and respect, and you all delivered. Sarah joined the discussion. Look at you. Once broken, now stronger, and still kind. It's impressive. I realize that kindness doesn't mean weakness, I said. It means understanding, learning from the past, and applying it wisely. Rashid leaned in. And what about her? Sana. I shrugged lightly. The past is a memory. I won't deny it shaped me, but I won't let it define me anymore. She's gone, and that's fine. I'm moving forward. Moving forward, Sarah repeated. Do you ever feel any bitterness? Sometimes, I admitted, but it's fleeting. Bitterness doesn't help me build. Action helps. Decisions, results, growth, that's what matters. I found a small stack of letters in my drawer. One was from Sana, sent months ago, unopened. I smiled faintly, opening it carefully. Her words were apologies, confessions, and attempts to reconcile. I read it once, let the emotions settle, then folded it neatly. Sometimes, closure is quiet, I said to myself. Acknowledged, understood, and then set aside. That's maturity. Later that afternoon, I gathered the core team for a brief meeting. We've faced challenges, some personal, some professional. But each challenge taught us lessons. Moving forward, I want us to focus on innovation, respect, and collaboration. A colleague raised a hand. And what about the mistakes of the past? Are we leaving them behind? Not leaving them behind, I said firmly. We learn from them. Every misstep, every misjudgment is an opportunity to improve. That's how we grow stronger. Rashid smiled. You've truly transformed. Not just in the company, but you. It's inspiring to watch. I hope it inspires, I said softly. Not just me, but everyone. Success without awareness, without reflection, isn't real success. We must always remember what brought us here and what lessons to carry forward. Sarah added, you're a leader now, not just by position, but by example. People will follow that willingly. I nodded. That's the goal. Influence through action, integrity, and consistency. Not fear, not manipulation. Later, in quiet moments, I reflected on the journey. Every late night, every sharp pang of heartbreak, every surge of anger, they had all contributed to this moment. I felt gratitude, not just for my success, but for the lessons, for Rashid and Sarah, for the people who stayed loyal. I placed the unopened letter in a small box alongside other mementos, a photo of my first day, a note from a client praising a proposal, and a token from a project that had defined my early career. Each object symbolized a stage of growth, reminder of the path I had walked. Rashid came by one last time that evening. Do you ever feel nostalgic for the old days? Sometimes, I admitted. But nostalgia is different from longing. I can remember the past, appreciate it, and still move forward. That's how I survive, how I thrive. Sarah nodded in agreement. And thrive you will. This is just the beginning. You've built more than a career, you've built resilience, wisdom, and respect. I smiled, feeling a rare sense of calm. I've built more than I even imagined. And now, I lead not just the company, but myself. That's the true victory. The office lights dimmed, leaving me with a quiet sense of completion. The betrayals, the heartbreak, the struggles, they were all behind me. Ahead was clarity, purpose, and growth. I had rebuilt, I had moved forward, and I was stronger, wiser, and entirely my own. And finally, I felt at peace. I stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows of my office, watching the city move below, lights flickering as dusk settled in. Sarah approached quietly, holding 2 cups of coffee. You look different, she said softly, handing me one. I feel different, I admitted, taking the cup. Stronger. Calmer. Finally, in control of my life. She smiled, settling beside me. It's remarkable to see. All the pain, the betrayal, you turned it into something meaningful. I chuckled lightly. Meaningful and necessary. I had to. Otherwise, I'd still be stuck in the past, letting anger rule me. Sarah's eyes met mine. And now? Now, I said slowly, I'm focused on what I can build, on what I can create. Not on grudges, not on revenge. That chapter is closed. She nodded. Do you ever think about him? She asked quietly. Farhan, Sana. Yes, I said, but only to remember why I had to change. What I learned, what I gained. Their mistakes taught me resilience, strategy, and patience. Sarah's hand brushed mine lightly. And what about us? I smiled softly, feeling an unfamiliar warmth. I think trust grows slowly, built on understanding and respect. We can start there. She returned the smile. I'd like that. Later, I ran into Farhan in the lobby. He froze for a moment, eyes wide, a mix of disbelief and bitterness on his face. You're running things now, he said, voice tight. I am, I replied calmly. And the company is thriving because of teamwork, focus, and accountability, not shortcuts or deception. He clenched his jaw. I never expected. Expectations aren't guarantees, I said evenly. Actions are. He turned, walking away, leaving only a trace of regret behind. Then Sana appeared, hesitant, holding a small envelope. I wanted to say goodbye properly, she said softly. I nodded politely. Go ahead. I was wrong, she admitted, voice trembling. I hurt you, and I know, I said firmly but without anger. Your choices are yours. I've made mine. I'm moving forward. That's all that matters. She swallowed, eyes welling, and nodded slowly. I understand. You do, I said, and that's closure, for both of us. After they left, I returned to my office, holding the envelope she had handed me. I opened it carefully. Inside was a note of apology and a photo of us from happier times. I smiled faintly, tucking it into a drawer with other mementos, a symbol, not of loss, but of lessons learned. Sarah returned, leaning against the doorway. That went, well, she said quietly. Yes, I admitted. It feels complete. No lingering anger, no unfinished business. Just reflection, and a sense of accomplishment. She stepped closer. And hope. Hope, I said, looking back at the city lights. Hope for growth, for partnership, for creating something meaningful without being weighed down by the past. Rashid called from the hallway. You're glowing, man. Real peace this time. I think I've earned it, I replied. Not just in my career, but in life. Every struggle, every betrayal, it led here. To clarity, to strength, to a fresh start. Sarah smiled, warmth in her eyes. And I get to see it firsthand. Yes, I said, meeting her gaze. And I hope we keep building, together, carefully, thoughtfully. With respect and honesty. The office was quiet now, the hum of the city below reminding me of possibilities. I picked up a small memento from my desk, a token from my first big project, and held it in my hand. It symbolized the journey, beginnings, challenges, failures, lessons, and ultimate growth. I whispered to myself, almost silently, I've survived, I've learned, and I've transformed. This is my life. My future. My control. Sarah leaned beside me, hand brushing mine. Your journey is inspiring, she said softly. And it's just beginning, I replied. With lessons, resilience, and the wisdom to move forward without fear. I turned back to the city, taking a deep breath. The lights reflected off the glass like sparks of opportunity. Pain had shaped me, betrayal had refined me, and now, strength and clarity guided me. I'm ready, I whispered. For new beginnings, for growth, for life unburdened. Sarah smiled beside me. Then let's begin. And for the first time in a long time, I felt fully free, triumphant, unshakable, and ready to embrace everything that lay ahead.